Good evening. Welcome to the Winning Women Talk Show. I'm your host, Regina Shearer, and I'm so glad that you found time today to join us for this show. If you have been a regular follower, we want to thank you. And if you're new to the show, we hope you really enjoy it. Our goal in the Winning Women Talk Show is to introduce you to a woman who shares her journey to doing what she's passionate about. Many times people do what they're good at, but not necessarily have a passion that goes with it. But the women you have been watching on this show and will watch tonight, she's one of them. They are people who find that special something that makes them know this is what not only what I'm good at, but this is what I love doing. And the best thing about it is while they may feel fulfilled in doing what they do, other people are benefiting from them and their passion. So we hope that as you pay attention tonight, you will hear something in the journey of our guest that will motivate you, stimulate you, inspire you. So that if you're on the precipice of making a decision about changing careers, vocations, or doing that special something that you've always wanted to do, but maybe you'll hear something tonight that will make you say, you know what? If she can do it, so can I. So we want to invite you to participate tonight, and that's not a hard thing to do. You can contact us at RGB Internet Radio by calling 781 384 5587. I'll say that again, 781 384 5587. It's on the screen there. And of course, if you're phone shy, feel free to email me, Regina, at rgbinternetradio.com. I am happy and thrilled to introduce to you our guest tonight. And she is none other than Dr. Yolette Ibokete. She has spent over 29 years in the field of education as a teacher, an administrator, and a school leader, as well as an assistant principal in several urban school districts and at a charter school. Dr. Ibokete is bilingual. She speaks English and Haitian Creole, and she is, as a teacher, an associate lecturer with expertise in culturally responsive pedagogical practices. That sounds real academic, doesn't it? But she's going to tell you what that means a little later. And her focus, though, in particular, is on the education and academic achievement for Black males, Black boys in particular. She's an English language learner, and not that she learns, but she helps English language learning educators to be able to facilitate people for whom English is not a first language. And she's also involved in family engagement in education. Her expertise enables her to prepare pre service and in service teachers to provide equitable instruction to students so that it maximizes their learning opportunities. Currently, she serves as an associate lecturer at UMass Boston, and her research interests include anti bias education, intergenerational trauma, social justice and educational equity, and trauma sensitive school practices. This is what I love. She is a graduate of Boston College. She has her master's degree in education from there and in education and curriculum instruction. She has a certificate of advanced graduate studies. Many of people in education know that to be called a CAGS, which is in policy, planning, and administration. And she earned that from Boston University. And she has her doctorate in education in curriculum, teaching, learning, and leadership from Northeastern University, focused on successful practices of teachers of students of color, particularly Black boys. There's so much more. And if you heard anything and you're thinking to yourself, what's that? Again, you can email or call in. ask her yourself. But right now, we just want to say welcome. And I'm going to call her Dr. Yolette to the Winning Women Talk Show. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Regina.
We are so glad to have you here. And for those again who have been watching this show regularly, as you know, I try to have a pre show talk time with our guests. And during our discussions, I found out a lot of things about Dr. Yolette that I think you would like to know. So we're going to just have her give us that overview by telling us about herself, her background, education, growing up, and all those things that make her who she is and actually put her finally on the trajectory to do what she does.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I was born in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, to a single mom. My mom had 5 children, and she was struggling to raise us. But my mom always valued education.
Mm,
Although she herself had to stop her own schooling when she was in middle school
mhm,
in order to help support the family, she believed instinctively that an education was the way out of poverty. And so my mom would borrow and I mean literally beg friends in order to have the money to send us to school in Haiti.
wow.
And when we were going to school, public school was not free. Therefore, she had to come up with money for the uniform, the school fees, the materials. But she made sure that we went to school because she really believed in the value of education. And that love of education helped me when I and my siblings had an opportunity to come here to continue my education. And I am proof that a good education can transform your life. Here we were in Haiti, at times homeless, um, at times not knowing whether we'd have even one meal a day. And yet, my mom did everything she could to make sure that we received that education. And so it's been my pleasure to make sure that every single student that I've come across also has that transformative education in order to put them on the right trajectory for their lives.
So you shared with us that's it's actually amazing that I don't know your mother, but I see this individual who did what she needed to do to make sure that her children would never have to do what she had to do. But she managed to get you all here to the United States, and you went on, and I made a little issue about it in your introduction, but you went to the elite institutions of New England, and that in itself is noteworthy and amazing, right? Because it's not uncommon that someone in it may go to one of them, but
Yes.
you covered the gamut, and so it speaks volumes to your mother and what she instilled in you. But why education? I mean, she just wanted you to go to school and get an education, but why did you choose education?
Well, it was quite accidental. When I graduated from UMass Boston with my bachelor degree in English, I uh, assumed I was going to go back to doing human resources work that I was doing before finishing my bachelor degree. But a friend just happened to make a comment about the fact that he thought that I would be a great teacher, and I had never ever considered that. And so while I was job searching, I came across this tiny, I think it was a maybe two-line ad in the Boston Globe where the Malden Public Schools was looking for a teacher for their Haitian students.
Mhm.
And I went in, had an interview, and I was hired. However, as soon as I started teaching my Haitian students, I realized that I was not um, prepared to provide them with a good education. And so I decided that I needed to go back to school immediately. So I uh, got into a master's program, my first master's at UMass Boston in applied linguistics, which would prepare me to teach English language learners. And that definitely made me feel more comfortable and confident about the instruction I was providing to my students. However, as I continued to um, gain more experience and teach. At this point, I was teaching not only Haitian bilingual students, I was teaching English language learners from all over the world. And I realized that I needed to know more. So that's when I decided to go to get my master's degree in curriculum instruction at Boston College. And then that's how I have continued my schooling. Every time I felt that I did not know enough in order to provide my students with the best education possible, I would go back to school. so, so that's how I finally ended up with my doctorate, and I think I finally stopped. I don't think I'm going back to school anymore.
Well, you I don't know what to say except you already have graduate level, several degrees, and then the ultimate graduate level of doctor. So but I'm sure if you thought about it, you might think of something else you
Something.
wanted to do. So how when you decided, when you were in Malden that that wasn't you didn't feel the confidence or the competency you wanted
Mhm.
it in order to teach them, did you stop teaching or did you continue teaching but enroll in the courses?
I continued to teach full time while going to school part time.
Okay.
So I would take classes at night, and it was quite something. It was teaching all day, and then picking up my children from school. We'd come home. I'd prepare dinner. I'd help with homework, and then I'd bundle them up, put them in the car, take them to the babysitter, and drop them off, and head to UMass Boston to take my courses. So it was not easy, but it was worth it
Yeah.
because I knew what my purpose was, what my
Right.
goal was.
Right. So you okay, so you left us off at English language learners, but that's not what you're doing now.
Yes, yes. Um, I taught sheltered English immersion to students who, as I mentioned, come from other countries and are learning English. And then I became a school administrator in at a charter school, and then at Boston Public Schools. And while at the Boston Public Schools, I decided that I wanted my doctorate because I was really frustrated by what I was seeing happening to our Black boys in the schools. I myself had two sons,
Mhm.
and experiencing I was seeing what they were experiencing in their learning in their schools,
Mhm.
and I wanted to learn as much as I could about what is going on uh, in our schools that are causing our Black boys to not perform as well as white boys, for
Mhm.
example. I was noticing biases from teachers about our Black boys. And when I say teachers, I mean teachers of all races,
Mhm.
even Black teachers having biases about our Black boys. One teacher I was working with at a school actually said about one of her own third grade Black boys, there is a jail cell waiting for him.
Ooh.
And so, with that mindset, you can imagine that this teacher certainly does not have high expectations for this Black boy.
Right.
And sadly, she wasn't alone. There are many instances of teachers, administrators of all backgrounds who had these biases about our Black boys. Uh, Things such as not they're not interested in learning, they're violent, they're always misbehaving, they only come to school to cause trouble. What's the use teaching them? uh, and so I wanted to go to school and really get to the root of those issues that were impacting our Black boys. So that was my reasoning for uh, going to get my doctorate degree.
Okay. So, one, I'm sure your mother's very proud of you,
Thank you. Thank you.
and 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 I can only imagine that in the work that you do, because you are now educating people who are in doctoral and graduate level programs, and many of them are already immersed in the classroom, right? So they're doing what you did, go back
Yes.
and get more knowledge and and a more advanced degree.
Hmm.
But you you mentioned, I use the word immersed because you mentioned that you talked about an immersed language course,
Hmm.
and meaning that people from multiple languages versus only the Haitians or
Yes.
Latinos, or okay.
Yes.
What were some of the challenges in doing that kind of work?
I loved it. I loved it. I called us the United Nations because these were children of students who were attending MIT, Harvard University. And while these students were at these colleges, their children needed an education. And so I had a combined first and second grade classroom. I love that age group. And it I didn't find it challenging at all. It was just wonderful having all these children from all these different cultures speaking these different languages, learning English together. Um, we had so much fun. I uh, had very high expectations for every single student, regardless of where they came from, regardless of their backgrounds, the language they spoke. I didn't find it challenging at all. And it was just wonderful learning about their countries and their cultures and
Yes.
getting their families engaged in their education for the first time, because many of these families were in the US for the first time. And so
Right.
they were learning how to be. They were learning about the US education system. They were learning how to be engaged families in their children's education. It was a wonderful experience. This was at the Cambridge Public Schools.
Mhm.
I loved it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, so is there a difference between teaching those kids and the grad students you have today? I'm just kidding. Um, and so what energizes you now in the classroom?
I saw some exemplary and worked with and supervised some exemplary teachers over the 29 years that I've been in the field of education. But I've also seen teachers who should not be teaching.
Mhm.
I am really uh, grateful to now be working with pre service teachers to uh, really prepare them for this very, very important calling, because teaching is not a job, it's a calling, it's a mission, because we are in the business of changing children's lives, transforming children's lives. And so I take it very, very seriously, the
Mhm.
work that I'm doing with pre service teachers and in service teachers. And it's teaching them about a lot that they never learned. Uh, Certainly in high school, they never learned in other college courses, teaching them about the history of education in this country and the racism that many student groups, many um, races experience: Asian, Latino, Black, teaching them to respect every single student's culture, to see every student as unique. You may have a classroom with where all your students are Black, but every single Black student is unique. And
Right.
so it's crucial for the teacher to take time to learn as much as possible about every single student and their background and their strengths and talents and hopes and dreams, in order to ensure that the teacher is providing an excellent education to every single child.
Mhm. And and so I'm you've told us something about your teaching style, because if that's what you expect of them, then I am assuming that that's what you do in your classroom, which is something, because so many young teachers in particular feel they don't have enough time to establish that kind of understanding about their students or rapport with their students or connections, whatever it may be, because their classrooms are too large.
Mm,
And so I don't know if that's, legitimate or not, because I do think how students are prepared. So I like knowing that you have pre-service and in-service training, teaching. I don't know, because I sometimes think it's a matter of how you were taught. um, Innovation, not innovation, but creativity, thinking outside of the box when your box is very small but very filled,
mm.
is important in teaching.
Yes, yes.
So what do you find as you're dealing with equity in learning, right, and learning opportunities? What do you find are some of the toughest challenges for your teachers, and to help them and for you to teach them?
I would say that it's the fact that many of them don't realize that as they were growing up in this society, that they were internalizing a lot of stereotypes and biases about different groups.
Mm,
And they are now teaching students from those groups.
yes.
And they never realized that living in this society, they get bombarded by messages that they are taking in without even realizing it. Messages, negative messages about different groups of people.
Mm,
And one of the first things that I teach them about is the importance of recognizing this. You cannot correct it, you cannot improve if you don't take time to recognize that you have these biased views about Latino students, about Black students, about Asian students, until you acknowledge those, you cannot really reflect and ask yourself, why do I feel this way about this group? Where did this come from? Why do I feel this way? What messages did I receive from my parents,
mm,
uh, social media, from
right.
books, that made me feel this way? So that's usually the first topic that we address. And it's also important for me to create the type of environment in my classroom where students feel safe and comfortable sharing those views that may not be very popular. And so I take time beginning of the semester to make sure that everyone knows that every view is welcome in class, unless, of course, it is hateful or violent, and
Right.
that's when I step in. Otherwise, we all need to feel safe and
Yes.
comfortable and trust each other with the information we're sharing,
Yeah.
because we are all learning from each other. And I make sure I tell them that I am not this person who's coming in and teaching you everything she knows, because I am also learning from you. And so that type of environment, that where everyone feels emotionally safe,
Hmm.
intellectually safe to share their views, and where everyone listens respectfully. You may disagree, but you disagree respectfully. And
Yes.
what I'm also doing, Regina, is modeling for them what I expect them to do in their own classroom.
Yes, and that's the best example. Examples are the best teachers, right?
Yes, yes.
Whether be it good or bad, they it's always by example. There's an email here that I thought I would read to you, and it says, "Bonjour, Dr. Yolette," and then it says in parentheses "saka fet," and okay, and I'll respond "napule." Okay,
Napule.
so she said, "I too grew up in Port-au-Prince. I would be curious to know what school you were attending at the time. I am 51 and had a similar experience. We were homeless, but I couldn't continue at school. I'm wondering if you can tell me, even though you were homeless, your mother sounds like a woman with a lot of determination. Did she make you go to school even in that time? And what did you do to encourage yourself to go to school and perform well? And what would you recommend today to students who find excuses to not attend school? Perhaps they are living in shelters or bad home environments. What what do you think? That's what it says.
Uh, Unfortunately, I cannot remember the name of my school. I am
That's
sorry
okay.
about that. But I think that although at times we were homeless, yes, my mom insisted that we still go to school. And I think it was not wanting to disappoint my mom, knowing how difficult life was for her, and knowing she had this dream for us uh, of a better future, and also knowing if I didn't go, I would get a whooping. So, so there were many reasons why I went, and I was always curious. I always loved learning. And so it once I made my way to school, to the classroom, I was hooked, because I just loved learning. And um it just continued when I traveled to this country, and where public education is actually free, and we have access to free books in the public libraries. I love public libraries. Um, and so, as far as students here in this country who may be experiencing some pretty challenging times in their lives, right? I've taught those students. I've had students who come to me, who come to school hungry. I've had students living in shelters and coming into my classroom. um, Students who are being abused, and still make it to school. What I in Once they come to me, they are mine. I make sure that I provide everything they need, connect them to whatever supports the school might have or the community might have, in order for them to thrive. But I do realize that it is hard for some students who feel pretty hopeless about their lives, and so getting up every morning to come to school, when they don't have much to look forward to, that is very difficult, and I definitely understand that. And that's why it is so important. I tell my students at UMass Boston, for them to be that adult in students' lives. Every single student needs at least one adult that is looking out for them, that is someone they know they can trust, that they can go to if something's happening in their lives. The person will take the time to listen to them, and love on them and care for them.
Mhm.
Um, every child needs that. But I do realize that for some children, they don't have it. Some kids coming to school, they
Yeah.
don't have that special adult,
Yes.
um, that they really need to go to care for them, and so on. And so that's why when I do my work with administrators, I always make sure I remind them of the importance of looking out for every single student, especially the ones that are struggling.
Okay. For those of you who have just joined us, you have been listening and viewing Dr. Yolette Ibokate, and she is sharing with us her journey and experience that she is living now throughout her education and I'll say personal experience as well that she now is able to pass on to future teachers and people who want to be in education administration. And so she has some areas of primary concern, and I mentioned them when I was introducing her, and one of those we were just talking about. But she is very her focus is on Black boys' education and academic achievement, but she also is concerned about um, the social justice, anti bias education, intergenerational trauma, educational equity, and trauma sensitive school practices, which I want to talk to her about a little more. But we have to take a quick break for one of our sponsors. So you've got about 30 seconds to run to that refrigerator and grab whatever it is you need right now and then rush right back for the show. And again, we would love to hear from you. Our lines are open, and the number is 781-384-5587. Or you can email me, Regina, at rgbinternetradio.com. So don't go too far away. We will be right.
At Portal to Hope, we're here to help victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking crimes. We provide support, resources, and hope to those who need it most. We believe that everyone deserves to live a life free from violence. If you or someone you know is in danger, please reach out for help. Call us at 781-338-7678. We offer a variety of services including counseling, legal aid, job assistance, and housing support. We also work to raise awareness about these issues and to advocate for change. Together, we can create a world where everyone is safe and free from violence. Portal to Hope is here for you.
And we are back with our guest for tonight, Dr. Yolette Ibokote. And so, one of the things you mentioned earlier, as you were talking, you used the word uh, educational trauma. So, tell us what that is. What is educational trauma? Because I don't have a clue what it is. But what is it? And also, when you and I were talking, you mentioned something else, which was transgenerational trauma. So, if you could share what that is too, because I know that has an impact.
Hmm. Intergenerational trauma um, is the fact that a lot of research has been done and found that the trauma that our um, grandparents, great grandparents, parents experience can be passed down to us and to our children unless we take um, the time to interrupt it. And so, for example, um, in the Haitian community, the trauma that um, many of us have experienced involved colonization, involved slavery, um, oppression, racist violence, brutality. All those are um, serious events
Mhm.
that our um, great grandparents, grandparents experience. And without us realizing it, without them realizing it, passed down to us. Because let me give you an example. If my um, great grandmother was a slave and endured violence and rape at the hands of her enslavers, um, when she is raising her children, those um, horrible treatments that she endured made an impact on her, not just physically, but also her mental health.
Mhm.
Therefore, she may not want to repeat what she experienced with her own children, but she nonetheless does. Meaning she's raising her children, she's being violent with them. She loves her children, but she's being violent with them um, because that is something that she endured that was never addressed.
Mhm.
Okay. And
Yes.
so she does this to her children, and then her children have children. And if that trauma was not addressed and stopped, that is simply going to continue.
Right.
Because research shows that when you suffer these very, very serious traumatic events, uh, they not only impact you physically, they impact you emotionally, spiritually, and they impact your mental health.
Mhm.
So as you are having your own family, sadly, those are being passed down to them.
Right.
And in the Black community, it's slavery, it's the brutality, it's Jim Crow era, it's mass incarceration. All of those events leave a mark on those that endure them, and they don't want to simply keep repeating those horrible experiences.
Right.
But again, sadly, if they don't experience some very intensive, serious therapy and recognize this in themselves, they will continue to pass it on to their children.
Yes. Yes. Now, is there an intersection between that experience and educational trauma, or is educational trauma strictly within an educational experience?
Educational trauma, I see as strictly within someone's educational experience. If you went to school and you were treated horribly because of your race, and the teachers treated you as less than, the teachers called you names, the teachers clearly did not care about you and your learning, teachers treated you um, uh, unjustly, treating you, for example, the teacher suspends you for something that another child simply gets to go to the office for, or something like that.
Right.
Or we adults don't realize that kids are not stupid. Kids can pick up
Yes.
on what it is that we're thinking about them. They can pick up on our actions towards them. They can see when they're being treated differently from others, when they can see when they're being treated unjustly. And so you have that, and you have these children feeling powerless to change it, right? What can they do? This is someone in power, the principal, the teacher, treating them this way. And sometimes they go home and they tell their families, and their families don't believe them. Their families prefer to simply believe what the teacher's saying. Oh, your child's lazy. Your child isn't interested in learning. Your child's the one who started that fight. Your child did this, and so on. And the we as parents, as families, tend to believe the teacher, the adult, as opposed to taking time to talk to our children and really listen to them and hear their side of the story so that we can see how we can support them. And so, yes, many youngsters do experience pretty traumatic events in school, which make them turn away from school,
Mhm.
which make them just waiting for the day when they can drop out
Right. So
because the school has become such a hostile environment for them.
right. And, unfortunately, uh, much of what we think we know about people who are not culturally similar, ethnically similar, um, is based on what we've heard, usually what we've heard from someone in authority. Now, that
Mm,
authority could be a teenager who's 2 years older than us, but
mm,
they're an authority, right? And
mhm,
and
mhm.
it doesn't necessarily mean it's accurate because it can be a stereotype. So I can imagine that educational trauma can come from being a girl who's 6'3", and it doesn't matter what her ethnicity is, but she's 6'3" when the m largest height is 5'5" or 5'7", right? And, and there's a lot of things that people assume, right, about overly tall people,
Mhm, mhm,
regardless of gender, and so,
mhm.
yeah, so when when those things are identified in a student, um, I don't want you to let the cat out of the bag because then we people might want to enroll in your class, so I don't but what what is at least one thing that you, are trying to educate the educators you teach in terms of identifying and dealing with some of this?
Um, it's making sure that they realize their importance to the students' future, to the students' lives.
Mm,
I tell them frequently, I know it's a lot of pressure, but you basically have children's lives in your hands. And you may have them just for 1 year, but during that year, you have to do whatever you can to make sure that they receive the best education possible. And it's not always easy because sometimes you have families who are not really engaged in their children's education, and sometimes the teacher feels all alone to deal with all the challenges that the students bring to the classroom.
mhm,
And I make sure I remind them that they are the voice of the children, because the kids are unfortunately in our society, we don't listen to our children the way we should. And so I tell these teachers, you are their voice. And
yes,
so you're their voice, not just with your principal, to make sure that you're asking for the supports that you need for them. You're their voice with their parents at times,
right,
because there are some parents, because they're working 2, 3 jobs, they really don't have the time to do the best parenting job that they can do. And so I certainly have had to sit down with families of my students and um, talk to them about the way they discipline uh, uh, their children. In this, maybe it was okay in your country to hit your child, to discipline them, not here. Let me give you some pointers on what we do here to discipline children.
yeah, yeah,
Um, because the kids can't tell their parents, "Stop hitting me," right? So the teacher, I remind the teacher how important they are in children's lives, and I tell them that their job is really the most important job in the entire world, because if you think about it, every doctor, every head of company, scientist, you name it, they had to go through a K through 12 teachers.
Education. Yes, right.
Therefore, teachers, in my opinion, are they have probably the most challenging job, but the most important job. And that's
Mhm.
why I said I think teachers should be getting the money that the
Yes.
chairman of a huge company like Google is
Right.
getting.
Yes.
That's how
Right.
important teachers are. That's
Yep.
what they should be earning.
Yes,
Okay.
because you just said something, that made me think, because in truth, from that K through 12 experience, they are the number one influencers in young people's lives,
Yes.
because young people spend more time with them, right,
Yes.
than any other adults that they're
Yes.
around.
Yes.
Well, listen, for those of you who've joined us, you can see the name there. You're listening to Dr. Yolette Ibokate, and I'm sorry, Dr. Yolette. I've got to take another quick break because our time is almost over, but
Okay.
we will be right back. And again, we'd love to hear from you. Don't be a stranger, but we're taking a quick break. We'll be right back.
Life can be unpredictable, and when those moments occur, you want the assurance that your family and property are protected. Sabatino Mastrocola Insurance Agency provides insurance coverage and security for every situation: home, life, flood, car, personal, or property. We're here to help you protect what matters most: your future. We are a full-service insurance agency providing experienced experts who speak Spanish, Portuguese, and English to assist you in acquiring the type of insurance coverage you need. That's the Sabatino Mastrocola promise. Contact us at 617-387-7466 or on our website, www.sabatino-ins.com. Get peace of mind today for uncertain tomorrows.
And we're back with Dr. Yolette. Dr. Yolette, our time is winding down, and I knew this was going to happen, but I want to ask you, what is it that it's a two-pronged question. What is it that when the students leave, what I know you have a number of outcomes that you expect of them. You shared one of them, right? To remember that they have an influence over students, and those students should be able to relate to them in a positive way and feel positive about themselves having had them as an instructor. But what about for you? What's the number one objective for you in the classroom as you educate those future students?
Number one objective for me is to model most of the skills and practices and strategies that I expect them to utilize in their classroom. So that means the creating the trusting, safe learning environment. That means making sure that you see every student as a unique child, not make assumptions. Oh, this child is Latino, therefore I am going to do this. Um, Taking time to learn as much as you can about each child and their background, and remembering every child comes to us with having learned, having experienced a lot in their lives. So don't feel that you are the one who's the holder of all the knowledge and you are going to provide all that knowledge to the students. Remember that you're learning from the students also.
Yes.
Very, very important.
Yeah.
And making sure that you are instilling a love of learning in your students, because that is going to carry them on
Yeah.
to the other grades that they are going to be attending. And so
Mhm.
instilling that love of learning, creating that environment where they feel cared for and nurtured and loved, and they feel they can trust you because let's face it, many of our students do not have that outside of school.
Yes.
They look
And
forward to coming to school because they get it from us at the school.
so, so the last thing I want to ask you is what is next for you? Um, is there what is there yet that you want to do to accomplish, especially around your passion, which is Black boys?
I it saddens me because I don't think most school districts really are thinking about how they can improve in educating Black boys. And so, what I'd love to do is work with school districts as a consultant um, to provide professional development to their in-service teachers to help them uh, be better teachers to Black boys, provide professional development to administrators, assistant principals, to principals, because there are so many things that are not being done to make sure that our Black boys are being academically successful.
Mhm.
For my doctoral research, I actually interviewed teachers that are doing wonderful things to make sure that Black boys are successful. And
Yes.
so I love sharing all these practices and beliefs and strategies with school districts, so that they can also be more successful with educating their Black boys.
Well, we wish you much success,
Thank you.
um, because there is when a society, and I'm not just talking about this nation, but when a society anywhere, and it's not just here because it's evolving in other places, starts determining that there are inferior people living within it, and they can call it genocide or whatever they want to call it, in some countries. When that happens, it doesn't just disappear. It's like an infection, it's contagious. And so that kind of education is so important right now. It's so very important,
Mhm.
and can make all the world of difference, not only in people relating and living together in communities, but also in the many talents and gifts and creativity and genius that people of color have that can be used to further the
Yes.
society we live in for the better. So thank you for your work. You
Thank
are a winning woman. And again, if someone wants to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
They can email me at yibokette@gmail.com.
Okay. So thank you, Dr. Ivokate. You are indeed a winning woman, and we love that you shared with us about you and the work that you do. And I am jealous of the students in your class because I know they're benefiting. For those of you who have been with us, we want you to do what I always say each end of show. Come back next Thursday, same time, same place, and watch another winning woman on our show. And thank you for spending time with us this evening. Have a great weekend, but remember this: whatever you do, always find time to love someone. We are out, and thank you.